Interviews with parliamentary candidates across both of Warrington's constituencies. Today we're joined by Kevin Hickson, who is standing for the Social Democratic Party in Warrington South. Kevin, thank you for joining us today. Just to start, how is the campaign going so far?
Okay, first of all, just to say thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. So the campaign is going well. I realised that I was very much the surprise candidate when the list was announced a few days ago, but it's going well. I'm getting support across the constituency. As
you say, it was a big shock when your name was confirmed on the list. But going back to what actually got you involved in politics, what was it?
Okay, well, I wanted to make a difference. I had certain values. I thought society was structured in the wrong way, that things were unfair, that there were things that I wanted to achieve that I thought could make a difference. So I got involved in politics, originally in the Labour Party, and then I left the Labour Party a couple of years ago.
And you left the Labour Party, I think, after the EU referendum in 2016. Was it specifically Labour's stance on Brexit which made you...
Yeah, primarily. So I was a member at the time that Jeremy Corbyn was elected. I didn't vote for him, but he won the contest fair and square, so I thought I would try and support him. But the Labour Party became increasingly factional at that point, really, and quite an unattractive political party in many ways. But I tried to make that work. I tried to stay in the party, and then I realised when I came out in support of leaving the European Union that there was really no room for people with my view in the Labour Party like that, really.
And aside from your position on Brexit, what else does the SDP stand for?
Okay, well, when I left the Labour Party, I didn't join the SDP straight away. I'd heard about it on social media. I followed it for a while. Like a lot of people, I thought the SDP had died a death in the early 1990s when David Owen wound the original party up. But members kept it going. They set it up. It was much more of a grassroots movement. And recently there's been a surge in membership, admittedly from a low base, but it's now in the thousands. The party's grown. We're getting a lot of media interest. People are joining all the time. Certainly Brexit is a big part of our agenda. We believe that the people voted to leave in 2016, and that vote should be respected. But other things as well. We have a mix of what we would call red and blue. So some elements that you would originally associate with the Conservatives, like getting Brexit done, like a points-based immigration system, belief in the nuclear deterrent, and so on. But also policies that would be traditionally associated with the Labour Party, things like a properly funded welfare state, an end to austerity, a rebalanced economy away from the southeast to the north, away from financial services. The crisis in the crash in 2007 showed how dependent we were on financial services. So it was right that we try and rebalance the economy to new forms of manufacturing and so on. As I said, away from the southeast to the north, and see growth in the north.
And sticking on the UK's scheduled departure from the European Union, are you completely behind Boris Johnson's Brexit deal, and do you believe that is the best for the UK?
Okay, well, if Boris had succeeded in becoming the leader when David Cameron stood down, and he'd come back with this deal, if this was the first offering, I think I would have been critical of it. It's not a perfect deal in lots of ways, but we are where we are. We've had so much drift and delay. The negotiations really, frankly, were messed up by Theresa May. So the deal now that we have is better than Theresa May's deal in key respects. It's not perfect, the amount of money that we would give to the EU. Personally, I would like to see see that lowered. There are problems with the position in Northern Ireland and the border down the Irish Sea, which is potentially risky. But it is a better deal. We're out the backstop. The future declaration, the political declaration, the future direction is clear to have a looser association with the European Union, and so that we can trade more freely with the rest of the world, and I think that's important. So if I was elected in Warrington South, and I appreciate very much the underdog, as I said, but if I was elected, I would vote through Boris's deal, or make sure the Conservatives were held to account so they couldn't delay it again beyond the end of January, and then it'd be pushing the Conservatives into a free trade agreement, which I think is perfectly possible to reach by the end of next year.
Many have argued that so much has changed since that EU referendum in 2016, and far more information has come to the surface. Do you not think it would be right and proper to allow people to vote again in a second referendum to ensure that they still want to exit?
No, I think we had the vote. People said, politicians on both sides of the debate said, this is it. This is your chance to make a decision. We will abide by your decision. We will respect the result. And ever since, within hours of the result being announced, on television, politicians from the Remain side were coming on to denounce those who voted Leave, say they were stupid, they were ignorant, they were tricked. There was a lie supposedly on the side of a bus. People didn't know what they were voting for. One of the repugnant features, I think, of British politics over the last 3.5 years is the disdain which has been shown towards Leave voters. They were informed, they did know what they were voting for. That vote should be respected. We should have been out by now, but certainly we should be out next year.
And it's a fascinating battle for the marginal Warrington South seat, and it's even gaining national attention. Obviously,
well, I think on that, this is a case in point. Warrington South voted Leave, admittedly narrowly, 51-49, what the figures suggest. But we have a Remain MP for the last 2 years who says he wants to overturn that result and have a second referendum, and he will campaign for Remain. If the Labour Party wins the election, we'll just have more drift and delay, I'm afraid. So we've got to get it done. So on that basis, I will be willing to support Boris's deal.
Obviously, Faisal Rashid defending a 2,500 majority in the constituency. You mentioned before that you are the underdog. What would be deemed as a successful election for yourself?
Okay, well, initially I was here just to raise the SDP's profile. I think that was certainly one of the aims, and we've done that. So yesterday I was on the Jeremy Vine programme on BBC Radio 2. With the other candidates. A couple of things were striking in that. First of all, that the Brexit Party candidate wasn't there. The Brexit Party is disintegrating before our eyes. I think a vote for the Brexit Party would be a wasted vote at this election. The SDP has a much brighter future, I think, than the Brexit Party, certainly. But also, the other three candidates just squabbled amongst themselves. They spoke over each other. It was very combative. It was very negative. I think people have had enough of that sort of politics, really. It's time for a change. I think the SDP will do that. I didn't join in with that Punch and Judy show that was on the radio yesterday. It's not what voters want, and I realise that. So I'm setting out a positive agenda for change. And
you obviously don't live in the constituency. You live in the Crewe and Nantwich constituency. Do you believe that candidates should live in the constituency that they are standing in?
Yeah, well, I live in the Crewe and Nantwich constituency. It's not a million miles away. I work in Liverpool. I know Warrington area very well. I will move to the constituency if I am elected next month, and I will have a very visible office, and I will hold surgeries in all parts of the constituency. A very diverse constituency, so it's important to get out in the whole of the constituency.
And almost impossible to get away from Brexit, but let's try for a second.
Yes,
do you believe more local issues such as Greenbelt development, traffic and the NHS also have a key role to play in the election?
Yeah, absolutely. These are real issues nationally and locally. And again, the SDP has its own take on that. We need a new hospital. None of the candidates are going to say they don't want that. In terms of transport, the link road could be important in solving that, but it will also destroy a lot of Greenbelt. And I think the real issue to solve the traffic problems in Warrington is to move towards public transport. So the SDP would scrap HS2. It's a huge financial drain. Originally it was predicted at 56 billion. It's now gone up to 88 billion. Experts say it will exceed 100 billion. It's a huge waste of money just to shave 10 to 20 minutes off a journey. So we would stop that. We would invest the money in buses. Certainly regional railways need a lot of improvement. I use those railways. I know how bad they are. I would be trying to improve those, and also high-speed HS3 link in the towns and cities of northern England, which is the way to redevelop the economy in the north, really, and that would include Warrington. So that's what I would do. Focus much more on public transport to solve the transport problems. And the third issue raised was housing, and there is a real crisis in housing in this country, across the country, and also in this area. Margaret Thatcher in 1979 rightly allowed people to buy their own council houses, but because she disliked local government, she wouldn't let them spend the receipts. And ever since then, there's been a social housing crisis in Britain, and the last Labour government between 1997 and 2010 under Blair and Brown didn't do anything to solve that housing problem. So we do need more houses, and that might mean building on Greenbelt as well as brownfield sites. but it needs to be the right sort of housing. It needs to be social housing. We would build 300,000 council homes across the country each year. That's an SDP commitment. And also we'd change the rules on planning, so we'd have genuinely affordable housing. I mean, the definition of affordable now isn't really affordable. People are trying to start off in life, start families, can't afford even the so-called affordable housing. The type of housing that's built is big executive homes that people can't afford. So we would again be trying to change that, so we had the right sort of housing, not just enough housing, but the right sort of housing.
You highlighted investment in buses and railways before. Do you believe that Warrington needs to prioritise investment into a tram system as well for the town?
Yeah, I think that would be an exciting possibility. I mean, the bigger cities have it, of course, and it's made a real difference. There's a debate as to whether Warrington could have the same sort of system as, say, Manchester. But certainly I think that we need to look at those sort of options, as well as the buses, as I said, and regional railways to improve transport. Really. We can't. There's no point just building more and more bypasses and then they clog up and then you need a bypass to bypass to bypass, you know. So you've got to invest in public transport.
And looking ahead to voting day, where do you believe the SDP are going to be getting their votes from? Do you feel you can steal votes from each of the parties, the Labour, the Brexit Party, Tories and Lib Dems?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's people like me who were involved in the Labour Party and realised how the Labour Party, the grassroots level, increasingly at national level, is very strongly pro-European. That's fine if that's what you want. But a lot of Labour voters don't. 40% of Labour voters voted to leave the European Union, and they're being disrespected by the Labour Party. But if the Labour Party or the Conservatives have one good policy and 10 bad policies, why put up with the 10 bad policies just for the one good policy? I'll be trying to take votes off all the parties. And
are you confident that the divisions following Brexit can sort of be repaired in the years to come? Yeah,
I think they can, if it is done. I mean, people, there's been 3.5 years of Project Fear. People are anxious about the future. They've predicted that if there was a Leave vote in 2016, there'd be an immediate recession. There wasn't. All of these predictions have been proven wrong. What we need to do is to get out to honour that result, and I think that will heal the divisions. There'll always be some who are strongly pro-European, who want to go back in, who don't want us to leave at all, but I think the majority will be won over once we leave the European Union.
And if you're not elected on December 12th, would that be the end of the road in terms of your political ambitions to become an MP?
Well, I've got political ambitions to become an MP. I wouldn't say I was a careerist politician. If I was a careerist, I wouldn't have left one of the big parties with all the support and infrastructure that I have to support a party which I believe has the right policies. And I'll certainly be continuing to work hard for the SDP to raise its profile to get elected representatives.
And how many members roughly would you say the SDP has here? And is it a growing organisation?
It's growing. I mean, it's growing rapidly compared to the big parties. It's still pretty small. We don't have the big financial donors from business like the Conservatives have, or the trade unions with the Labour Party. But we are a growing party in the thousands in terms of membership now. And our profile is going up all the time. We've had some high-profile defectors, people like Rod Liddle, who came over to us. And the membership has grown on the back of that and continues to grow.
And just to finish, I mean, probably an impossible task, but what do you try and do to take your mind off Brexit and politics?
Well, that's a good question. I have a day job, but admittedly, that is as a politics lecturer, so in a way I can't take my mind off politics in that way. But I do the ordinary things that most people do. I meet up with friends, I go out for a drink, have a meal, and so on. And find time to relax, really.
Thanks for your time today, Kevin.